Oh, yeah. Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. Right here on Black Liberation Media. In case you didn't know, I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. We came here to bring you that boom bap breakfast. Yes, that realness. Right here on your plate with your knife and your fork and your glass of OJ or coffee, whatever, we gonna bring it on today. So, let's get it started. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and we have our host with the most, but guess what? They ain't here yet, so you know how we do. Started off with a mix for you. They ain't slick. Big up to all people, our remixers just coming up through here, rocking out. We see y'all. So let's get it going like this.
Today, I have to regret to say something is not right, and it deals with black and white. Tell me, my G, is it me? It's just society filled with propaganda, huh? Why do we meander, huh? In a zone with hate for peace, all of this BS must cease. All I am is one black man in a mighty big right hand. Brother, sister, if you miss or if you mister, listen please to this fact. Black is black is black is black. Woo. Blow. Black is black is black is black. Woo. Oh yeah. Black is black is black is black. Way back in '68, brothers didn't have it great. They brought back the civil rights and scarred the soul. They took this life with common road, we plain to see. All the streets are on TV. Segregation was the king. Vietnam was full in swing. Martin Luther had to shout, let's get out, get out, get out. The situation sort of changed, but what really makes matters strange is our foe is well disguised. We don't know where our fate lies. Still in all, we cannot lack the fact. Black is black is black, black, black.
Once again, welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. As we wait for our host to get here, I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Give me a little bit of mix to get y'all started on this Monday morning. Tuesday. God damn, what day is it? I don't know. I'm here though. Going through things, we gotta go through them together even when it's hard times. That's what we do. We collect as a unit, we organize, and we get together and make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So let's go.
Hard times spreading just like the flu. Watch out, homeboy. Don't let it catch you. Prices go up. Don't let your pocket go down. When you got short money, you're stuck on the ground. let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold back or fold, cause I'm a man with soul, in control and effect. So what the heck? Rock the discotheque, and this groove is what's next. Attack, react, exact, or mac, or move you in. A strong song as long as you groove to this. I keep the crowd loud when you hype. Do damage on stage and injure the mic. As I shoot the gift and see stand stiff, while my rhyme stick to you like Skippy and Jip. Feel my blood vest on my dick, kill that rap solo list. You don't wanna live. So let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold back or fold, cause I'm a man with soul, in control and effect. So what the heck? Let the discotheque, and this groove is what's next. Let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold back or fold, cause I'm a man with soul, in control and effect. So what the heck? Rock the discotheque, and this groove is what's next. Let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold. Let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold. Let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold. Let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold. Let it roll, cause I'm a bold. I just can't hold back or fold, cause I'm a man with soul, in control and effect. So what the heck? Rock the discotheque, and this groove is what next. Attack, react, exact, or mac, or move you in. A strong song as long as you groove to this. I keep the crowd loud when you hype. Do damage on stage and injure the mic.
Once again, welcome out, y'all. I hope you had a great weekend. My crew is just coming, taking their time to get through the day. We like staying there 7-8 minutes deep. Word. So, as you all know, we're going to keep it going.
But my apparatus is up to status. Don't ask who's the baddest. I'm from status, the make or break, I take on. My rhyme takes the head, put it to bed. So watch me set. Play the bass for the type and rearrange the tone. I take a loss every force in the danger zone. Cause I kill and kill at will. Teaching a skill that's real, you know frill. So just stand still and chill as I feel. Science I drill until my rhyme fill. Your head up. Don't even get up. The teacher is teaching. So just shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
You know it, Ricky Ryan. We got professionals up in here. Oh, man. Big up to Tone Loc. Big up to Big Daddy Kane, Run DMC. Lady B for starting it off, you know what I mean? Yeah. And all our MCs, singers, and all that. So we're going to get into it in a minute as we bring forward one of our hosts. He goes by the name of Kamal K. Franklin.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's good? What's good? What's good?
Chilling, of course, as always. Chilling as always. Happy to see you.
You know, happy to see y'all. Well, you.
One of us.
We got. I think Kim's getting it together and getting her rouge and stuff put on in the back.
Yo,
so,
I did all my pre. You know what I'm saying?
I see. I thought you would have been here earlier then.
I still got to drop the kids off.
Oh no, I was talking about your face. But
you know what?
Oh my goodness, it's always good. You had a good weekend. How about you?
I had a good, Well, I had a good weekend. I did events. You know what I mean? Like I got asked to do a workshop that nobody came to because it was badly
promoted.
Yes, but I'm not trying not to name names, but it was.
Are you trying not to?
I'm trying not to.
They know who they are. They listen
exactly.
Right now.
I got to tell on them. I got to tell on them. But again, always like it was not well attended. It was like this. It was a liberal / civil rightsy event where you can tell they were gearing up to start, prepping to represent the Dems again, like in the next couple of months or the next. Over the next few months and coming up in 2 years for the midterms. So you can tell it was something like that, where they were like, it was like, oh, let's get the black folks excited about whatever Democrat we tell them to vote for. And I almost called the name, don't I? So the thing is, though, the power of Black liberation media.
Is that a hand to your left?
Yeah. So as we're talking, there's so much to talk about. Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna have to cut this out the video. So there is a dude filming me for a documentary on Stop Cop City. We'll talk about it in a few seconds. This is like the final throes of, I think today actually, they're doing ribbon cutting.
So you invited somebody in your house, huh?
Well, I didn't really. I mean, it was kind of pushy. They were pushy about it, B. They were pushy about it.
Okay.
Okay.
At least they got to get inside. That's
Well,
cool.
you got to the front door. You got, like there was a door between us.
I was like a vampire. I couldn't even get invited inside the house, man.
Yeah, well, we didn't have to do all that.
God damn.
I opened the door slightly and I gave you the package and closed it. Right? It was something like that. Right? I did say hi.
Boy, with friends like that, you got to have somebody on your team like, burn it down, Kimber.
Hey, now.
All right. Kim.
Morning.
Morning. How you doing?
Well, and yourself?
Something like that. What's going on with the old black bead? With the hood, black hoodie.
Nigga, real niggas do real things. You wouldn't know nothing about
it.
Zing, 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 zing.
Right there. That hurt me right there.
Put that in the documentary, nigga.
I'm glad this doc gets to see this side. You know what I'm saying?
Hopefully, it'll cut all this out.
No, please don't. This is what it's all about right here. You know, you get on this in the morning time, you get to have a good time and talk about some things going on in the world. What up? Continue your story.
I didn't get to say.
I'm very perturbed about the ribbon cutting of the Cop City, but yes, go continue.
Yes, and I haven't even reached that. So at the badly organized conference I was at. Mm-hmm. The power of Black liberation media. With these cats who are like, they're not like leftists or revolutionary in their outlook, but 6-7 people walk up, be like, Black liberation media, it's good to see you in person, that kind of thing. So it's the power of this channel, even though we don't think so. There's people behind the scenes. Well, like, now I'm not in the chat. Yeah. But I listen to what y'all be saying and they want to follow up and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like the power of Black liberation media.
Nice.
We don't know sometimes, but we are impacting people. People are hearing about it. Folks who you don't think are listening. In fact, one person walks up to me and she is a well-known organizer. Again, I'm gonna leave her alone. She was like,
is Ear Doctor single? Go ahead.
No, that's not what she said.
Okay, go ahead.
No. She knows you're single. Everybody knows you're single, B. There's no long you. Everybody understands.
All right, finish the story.
My bad. So she was like, we were like a daily diary for her. Like she keeps up on all the fights that we have. She says it's all like her real life or whatever, like the camaraderie, the jokes, and all the rest of it, and of course the news and the particular perspective or whatever. So that was real cool. I was like, this is real cool. That's real cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So Cop City cutting ropes.
So Cop City today, the mayor, Dickens, they're doing a ribbon cutting ceremony. Okay. Later today, I guess I can say this because, by the time people see this or the authorities, who I'm assuming are also listening to our station.
Of course.
There's going to be some rallies and demos, some direct action, some banner drops. So all that's also scheduled to sort of cut into their own fun and festivities that they think they're going to have. But today's the day they're trying to say, hey, we finished this project. When we know the project even is a lot of cost overruns. And this is just really for show, right? They're not really finished, but they want to make sure that they can present that before the next election where he can claim a victory. But all that's happening today. It's a busy day. Yeah.
So which one of them Atlanta rappers going to come out and turn up for the Cop City ribbon cutting? Let me take a guess. Let's take some guess. I'm gonna throw 10 on Michael Render. What y'all think?
I was gonna say, that's my safe bet. He might do the whole spiel about like his dad was a cop and they hit or whatever.
Paul was a cop.
T.I. I can see T.I. trying to say T.I. I can see T.
Because hey, you had to beat that machine gun charge somehow, sir. I don't know niggas that's beating machine gun charges that don't end up singing background for Destiny's Child. You feel me? Like
then I wonder which Republican is going to show. I wonder if the governor's going to be there.
Governor.
Telling them, good job again. Pat him on the head. Good job. Good job.
I see the former mayor is looking at running for governor.
Yeah, that's crazy. Keisha Lance Bottoms is thinking about running for governor. She must be bored out of her mind. She must need a talk show host, and this is her way of getting to be a talk show guest or whatever. Or show. And this is her way of like easing her way into the public spotlight.
Do you think she has a chance?
Not in hell. No.
In Georgia, right?
Didn't
No.
Stacey Abrams run for governor? Wasn't she close? Didn't she come close?
Stacey was close. Keisha Lance Bottoms is not as people don't fall over themselves like they do for Stacey Abrams.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whatever, they're both like liberal Democrats at best.
I think the word that even the name Keisha, it doesn't ring out too well Abrams. for white people in Georgia.
But Stacey Abrams at least has some substances that she creates shit. Like she's created these nonprofits that do for voting rights. She's done these nonprofits that are for registering to vote. She was part of a whole strategy about how Georgia was going to turn blue, even though that strategy, and actually, you know what? I won't say it did fail because they got 2 senators who are Democrats. Although if they put up, they may not last for long, but they did accomplish that. So she at least is a person of substance. Keisha Lance Bottoms is here.
You say that she's present.
Her hair always looks amazing. Can I say that about Keisha Lance Bottoms? She always looks really put together.
She snatched. Is that the word?
You said Stacey's a sellout, but can she be a sellout when she never was on our side in the first place? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She was never really on our side. I just like the famous story of not famous, but infamous in my community, where when they were on Spelman's campus and she was a student, and then they had a protest and they burned the flag. And since she dipped back, like there's a picture of her she was in part of the organization or whatever, like it was a black organization.
Oh, like Homer Simpson in the bushes.
Yeah, exactly. She faded way back.
I hope they didn't get me in that picture with that burning flag.
No, right? It's over for my career.
She's like, nah, not that.
Man, I wish I could be there. I just want to go to the ribbon cutting and just boo. You know what I'm saying? Just want to stand there and boo. I want a chorus of everybody booing. Boo, boo, boo.
You ain't get that close. It's going to be fenced off. I'm sure there's going to be literally hundreds of cops. More overtime for them. Atlanta's already the budget is like 10 or $20 million over budget because of all the money they've paid for cops this year. So yeah, you wouldn't even get close.
And as the crime rate going down?
Say it again?
As the crime rate going down with all this money they get?
They don't care about no crime rate. They care about keeping you off the street, though. They're keeping organizers off the street. That's what they care about. They care about keeping black people in our little communities until they can kick us out. That's what they care about.
How was your weekend, Kim?
It was splendiferous, Air Doctor.
Nice to hear.
Wonderful. I had a wonderful weekend. I'm starting a garden. My garden is sprouting in small ways.
What is making your garden grow? And what are you growing in your garden?
I have
not weed, right?
Not yet. Weed is on the list. I want to get the starter grower containers to start my weed, but food, I'm growing herbs. Not smokable herbs, but I have cilantro popping up. I have parsley popping up. I have basil popping up. I have a little bit of rosemary popping up. I've got about 4 or 5 tomato plants popping up. I've got what else? I got an onion growing. I got some carrots sprouting in their containers. So I've just transferred them from their little containers into bigger pots. So I hope they survive that move.
Oh. Have you always been a gardener? Or?
I have never gardened in my life.
Talking here on this Remix Morning Show.
Anything in my life. I've never planted anything. But again, I'm a little concerned. I won't say fearful about the future, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned that the things that we expect in our routine daily American lives, simple conveniences like going to the store, you might go to the store, ain't no produce on the shelf.
Yeah.
Then what? Then what?
They're gonna start hijacking trucks like on Mad Max in a minute. You know what I mean? Think about that. Like, you're gonna get that truck before they even get to the grocery store. So
haven't niggas gotten robbed for eggs? Like over this egg crisis? Like, hasn't there been a couple egg heists?
That would have been hilarious. What was the meme that some woman was saying? Like, it's crazy. Like she's going to the store for her weed, but she's like buying her eggs on the street.
That is the reverse. That is
Yeah,
the
it's
reverse
like,
shit right there.
it's like I'm doing deals in the alleyway with some eggs. Yeah, you got some fresh farm
You
eggs.
could go in the building and buy herb, but you got to buy eggs out
Mhm.
on the street like it's back
Mhm.
alley. That is wild. Yo, so this
How's your week?
weekend. I was about to get to it. So
Right.
this weekend I got to rock out with some kids, DJ the prom, and they was turned up. Boy, had a great time. You know what I'm saying? It was. I just love seeing them have a blast before they graduate. Other than that, I went to go see Sinners, as y'all see.
Oh, how was it?
Yeah, what's the sister's name? Rasheen. She couldn't make it today. You know, we was gonna talk about it. She was supposed to go see this movie right here, Sinners. And you know, I like the title, the shows after songs. Must be the music. That was my take on the whole movie. You know, I know everybody wants to get political and everything. But
I'm sorry. Stop.
huh?
What was your
What?
take on the movie?
I'm confused. Must be the music. Is that your
Yeah, I don't
take?
Yeah,
get it. Yeah.
yeah.
The music was
That
good.
it was about music. The movie was about
Oh, you're saying that's
music.
what the movie was about, really?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
about. It started off. Even the director Coogler was talking about his uncle who was a blues musician. So this centered around music. It centered around blues music. They had also a little bit of vampires, voodoo,
Man,
stuff like that. You know, going back in that time and how effective music was, and how Culture Vultures was always trying to get it, talking about from vampires to white people to this, that, and the third. It was always about this is a way to get into people like gospel. Even if you break down the word God spell, it's like a spell they put onto people to get them to, you know, praise God. And that's what a lot of singing and stuff is about. Even when we talk about different African traditions, the rituals they have, it's
Wait a minute,
always some
stop.
type of
No
singing, some
gospel?
type
is
of
this,
No
is this in the
gospel.
movie?
yeah, this is the movie.
I thought it was about vampires,
I thought it
though.
was a
It is
scary
about
movie.
vampires, right?
It
I mean, that's an
is.
interesting take. I like that, though.
Yeah, I
I
was.
didn't interrupt you. You know,
Yeah, you was. Apparently, you did.
nah,
And
you was going well. My bad.
I was on the roll. You know, I was trying to spit like you be doing on the
No,
bullhorn. You know what I'm
I
saying?
interrupted. Go ahead.
It's all good. But yeah, but even through traditions and ways. Even they had the Irish people, how they had they singing and how they had they line dancing and traditions and stuff like that. So it was about the power of our music, connecting with our ancestors, and how people are constantly trying to get it. You remember even when they talked about that old movie with the blues singer Crossroads, I think, when he
Mm-hmm.
sold his soul to the devil to be able to play music better.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So
White people
Was there an
always
allegedly really
niggas,
needed
white
for
people
that?
always want to attribute black genius to some other
but
shit. You know what
but
I'm
then
saying?
it wasn't the devil per se, and it was a African deity that he asked for help to be able to play better.
In
But they
this
Oh,
put
in
they
this
movie, or
story.
no,
you
not
talking about
even in the
Robert
movie.
Johnson in
Talk
real
about
life?
Robert Johnson in real life. So it
Okay,
was like an African deity, but you know they made it into the devil. So you know how they always looked at our
got it.
Which I
deities.
don't believe any. I mean, he was just talented. Period. No, he didn't
Mm,
beg for
I
some
mean,
talent, right?
people pray for stuff all the time. Why not pray to be more talented? You know, and meditation. And there was one
Yeah,
time there
you
was a
can do that,
kid.
but you don't believe like some deity actually came down and said, you know, let me sprinkle a little extra talent on you or something. I mean, he was born with it. He practiced. He committed himself. Was it like, you know, the
I mean,
devil came,
I
like
think that's the thing about music, and the part about the vibrations of it all. It conjures up certain spirits and stuff like
Mm,
that,
mm.
depending on the music. Like you look at people catching the Holy Ghost, you think that's not real.
Not at all. No. But,
See, that's where you're
Well,
wrong.
hold on. I'm
you know, it's a more. I think you know, it's a
I
psychological.
mean,
You
is
hearing
it psychological or is it the vibration of the music? What's being said in the music?
Yeah, but
The
that's part of the whole. Like it's hitting your brain, and like you know, and so it's making you. It's not like some spirit is coming in you for real. You don't believe that, do you? You don't believe like some
I'm.
spirit is coming.
I
Can't
mean,
you?
they don't call alcohol spirits for no reason. But continue,
I
Kim.
think some people catch the ghost. People get possessed. I mean,
Mm,
by
mm.
good
By
spirits
what?
and
By
bad
what?
spirits.
Mhm.
You know, but wait, I'm confused. So what did Michael B. Jordan do? Like, is he the
Oh, great actor. Great actor. He played two roles. He played him and the twin. Uh and just played that role. It was good to see
Was
that.
he
I
both
mean,
the
the
good guy and the bad
cinematography,
guy?
Ooh,
huh? Yeah,
He
the
was both
good.
the good guy and the bad guy.
Well, no, he was just brothers. They were brothers, and one was one way and one was the other way.
Mm.
One, but they was brothers. And then what happened with Kim here? Let's take her off the screen until she gets that together. So also the cinematography was great. They had a dance scene that went back from showing how music has been worked throughout the ages and time and stuff, where they was all on the dance floor and was showing like old African dance. It was showing like up-to-date DJs, B-boy and B-girl, and how us as DJs and people behind the instruments always had a power, a certain power to will people to do what we want. That's why they call it like the Pied Piper.
You really liked it.
I did. It was good. It was good. It was, like I said, cinematography, storyline, acting was good. History, spirituality, all that stuff was in it. And it wasn't, as a lot of people will probably want to try to break it down, political, like, but it's always politics,
all that stuff
right?
you mentioned was political, so
it's always politics, right? So
yeah, here's the politics of music, the politics of art and culture, and who controls it. It sounds like all that's in there,
Facts.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, take his shirt off. This is the real important questions.
I think he might have.
Probably like 5 or 6 times.
When he was groping the white Creole woman, I think he was, yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. He had a bad black thick African woman too, boy. The other twin. So it was a nice son. And I don't mean to ruin it, everybody, but go check it out.
I don't think that's ruining it.
Yeah. It's been out for a while. People have seen it. So.
Yeah, if they ain't seen it yet.
I need to know what the hype is about. So thank you, Ear Doctor.
No doubt.
For that synopsis.
All right, it's about 8:30. What y'all want to do? Take a break and then get into some news, or y'all want to talk some more?
It's up to you.
Yeah,
I think you did a great job, by the way. Thank you so much for your mix. I feel like me and Kamau are semi strong arming you into mixing when we show up late. Like, since you don't get the people to mix at the end of the show no more, it's like, well, fuck it, we just be 5, 6, 7 minutes late. Ear Doctor gonna have to figure.
Yeah, figure it out.
And everybody loves it. And everybody loves the mix.
Whatever. Don't try to hype me up with that shit.
Oh, that Big Daddy Kane was slapping Ear Doctor.
Thank you very much.
No, did you see this? There's this I guess video floating around. I forgot what he was playing, but Big Daddy was playing. And then he did a purposeful mic drop and picked.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my man was I don't give Kane enough credit. I was like, I don't give Kane enough credit.
Kane is a beast. Still killing it. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. I guess we can figure out what this weather is going to do for us today. Since y'all ain't stick your hand outside yet.
I did. Right. It's a little overcast here in the DMV. Highs expected to be up to the mid 80s. It's going to be a warm feeling day today in the Washington, D.C. area.
All right, let me put some more respect on DC. I ain't even get to that state district or whatever it is. All right, let's get to it right here on the Remix Morning Show.
You actually have no respect. None.
What the hell is DC anyway? What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare. And where can you donate? Well, I'll tell you right now, you could go to blkliberationmedia.org and donate right there. Why? Because we're demonetized, and that means no cash flow coming up in here, unless it's coming from y'all. Thank y'all very much for your support. All right, boom. Let's talk about this weather out here. Let's start at ATL as we always do. Got a high today of 77 degrees. Going to be a lot of rain coming down, thank goodness, because this pollen was making me very sleepy. BK, Brooklyn, 75 degrees, only 2 degrees lower. That's wild. What happened to the South being hot? Chicago, they got a high today of 68 degrees. Rainy too. Houston, 82. Oakland, 70 degrees. Venezuela, they got a high of 81 degrees. And Xander, Niger, did I say that right? Nigger with less of a G. Yeah, so they got a high today of 107 degrees. Now that's hot. And I'll tell you what else is hot. A lot of people was hot about this whole situation when we talk about, that's right, the Sanders brothers. So this whole weekend it was about them what's the kid's name? Yeah, one of the Shilohs, not Shiloh, but this other Shador. There we go. Shador Sanders was fifth in the draft, and everybody was like, "Oh my goodness, why are they doing this to him?" Y'all realize that this is still the biggest plantation in the NFL. They want to make sure y'all know that they are in control, and they don't want to deal with another brother that has a parent that's in their life and making sure that their destiny is going to be set. So it happens. It happened to Serena. It happened to a bunch of different fathers that tried to step LeVar Ball when they step in and be like, "Yo, you're not gonna play. You're not just gonna play my son any type of way." So they realized that they're gonna get a package deal, whatever team this is. And then, like they said, they was like, "Yo, you're going to get humbled by us. We'll pick you when we're ready to pick you. I don't care what they say. NFL is our plantation." So both of the brothers got on NFL teams. Shiloh wound up having to fire his dad for management because he seen what happened to his brother and wound up getting picked up by Jacksonville. So Jacksonville, Cleveland Browns now have the Sanders on a squad. That said, let's go ahead and get back to the crew. You know how we do right here on the Remix Morning Show.
Else's fault, so don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, first, you must always resist the temptation to do what you do, which I think we all do when we see Niger.
Yeah.
But please resist the temptation to.
It's so hard.
That's part of our oppression. That is part of our community as a people who were brought over here. But we must always resist the notion and the idea to publicly speak about what that looks like to you. I just no comments. No comments.
We just automatically put an extra G there. Okay.
Two. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Two.
All right.
Back to the.
I had no
Sanders
idea
brothers.
that he had two. There were two of them. I thought there was just one who was a quarterback. There was two of them.
Yeah, he got two sons. The eldest is Shiloh, and the younger quarterback is Shador.
Shador.
Mhm.
Which is an interesting name.
I had no idea. I thought there was this one kid they was talking about all weekend.
But no, you saw how the cracker tried to steal the young man's thunder, try to steal his joy. I said, look at these Euros staying on.
Oh,
brand.
the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, the Falcons' nephew or some white kid tried to call.
Son.
Yeah, he called and did a prank call.
They did a crank call to him.
That is like, you know how really like Shador Sanders should smash his face on sight.
What he cranked him and act like he was picked earlier.
Yeah.
Hey, that is he should get beat up. Yeah,
he did an apology, but still, it's like really.
No, that's how that is big cracker energy. Like that is huge cracker energy. Like that, the opportunity that white boy, 21-year-old white man technically, but whatever, he knew that this kid had been waiting. Thought he was going to get drafted way sooner. He'd been waiting. So once he finally got the call, and to be clear, the white boy was recording the whole shit. Like, ha ha ha! Isn't this hilarious? And not that I feel, tremendous empathy for children of millionaires. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, y'all could get y'all feelings hurt every now and again too. But I just saw the big crackerism in that particular prank.
Yeah, that was wild. And that back to the whole part about his dad being there. Fathers in your life, and a lot of fathers that's gonna step up. And when the fathers do step up and be like, "Yo, you're not gonna treat my son or my daughter like this any type of way," these slave masters, these plantations, they be like, "I don't want to deal with them. I'd rather have one of these kids that ain't got no daddy in the house, grown up by their grandmom, so we can control and manipulate them."
So basically, he fired his dad for purposes of
so he can get on the team because he seen how they was treating his brother. So he was like, I ain't gonna get picked up as long as you're representing me. So he went and got him but
they both
got
drafted ultimately.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there were two. I had no idea.
Yep. So that is what it is. That is your weather report and a little bit of sports at the same time. Let me get up out of here for I get some more tomatoes thrown at me for no
Who's
reason.
throwing
Well,
tomatoes?
I don't
not
know.
for no reason. Not for no reason.
Really? It's just because I didn't say.
Dap, 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 bop, 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 bop. Yeah. Just
I wanted
resist.
to say it so
Resist.
bad.
Please.
Big up to Zinder. Zinder,
Please
you know.
resist. Yeah. Thank you. Remix Morning Show, Kim Brown, Kamal Franklin, here with you. Over 300 live viewers. By the time this video was published and done, a day later, we'll have well over 2,000 folks who checked it out.
Nice.
Let's try to get those likes up. If you want to donate, blkliberationmedia.org. Yeah.
Listen, I appreciate folks who approach and say that they are viewers of the show. They may not be chat participants, but we need y'all to at least be likers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need y'all to push the button. Okay, that's it. You don't have to chat. You don't have to comment. We appreciate you coming in and enjoying the jokes and, you know, our little, you know, intrapersonal whatevers. Please like the video. Please listen to our demo. Like that. Like, that's it. Minimal engagement. Just do something. Thank you so much. I just wanted to remind everybody.
Do you want to get to the news?
Let's.
That's.
Hey now, welcome everybody. It's the Remix Morning Show. Tuesday.
One last thing about the Sinners movie.
Oh,
you remember how in other movies that, you know, the white people, the Ku Klux Klan and different stuff came at them and they didn't get annihilated?
Oh, okay. That's good. There's a little revenge porn. I like it. I'm down with that. You know what I
think it means what you think it means, revenge porn. But yes, okay.
Oh, does it mean what I think it means? Okay, I'm shut. Maybe I should make those. Yeah,
it's fine.
There's revenge. There's a revenge scene. A lot of violence. A lot of chopping. That's what I thought. No,
I love that.
Oh, that's what I was hoping we were saying. I just also found out something I did not know, historically speaking.
What's that?
That I thought somebody just put in Birth of a Nation. So the movie The Birth of a Nation, which obviously was this wildly popular movie.
First feature film in America, right?
Hockey feature film. Huge, brought back the Klan in terms of like popularizing it. Viewed at the White House with Woodrow Wilson, saying it was real history and so forth. And it was in the movie that they introduced the idea of them burning a cross as a symbol of, I guess, white nationalism or Klan power. That the movie was the first time that they did it, and then the Klan adopted what they saw in the movie. So the movie inspired the Klan to actually adopt the practice of burning the cross, in addition to the lynchings and killings and terrorism or whatever like that. So I don't know why his commentary about the revenge against the Klan just brought that back to mind.
Hey, now people are influenced by what they see, hear, and read. So, you know.
Well, speaking of the Klan, the first story I have, and I have not necessarily viewed what this person has said, but the lieutenant sitting governor of Indiana, where we will be doing or having our National Black Radical Conference later on next month, May 30th, 31st, and June 1st. So apparently, the lieutenant governor, who calls himself a Christian nationalist, decided to go on camera and talk about the 3/5 compromise.
Oh wow, I'm curious what direction this is going to go, because the Euros always love to tell us that why are you always bringing up race? Why are you always putting race in everything? Nigga, have you read the fucking Constitution? Don't talk to me about bringing up race in every fucking thing. Yes, it was niggas hanging for colors only on the water fountains. Get these crackers out of here. I'm sorry.
No. You're right. Because so here we go. I don't know if we're gonna watch the whole thing, but I'm interested.
Update on a bill, Senate Bill 289, which is called Unlawful Discrimination Bill. Senator Byrne is carrying that bill. It was in the Senate just a few minutes ago. Well, if you were watching or listening to the Senate, if you were trying to fall asleep and we're trying to get some good background noise on, you might have been listening. The Senate on the Democrat side, they got up and they started talking about how this bill embodies something to the effect of the Three-Fifths Compromise. They were bringing that up. They were saying this is a bad bill because it actually just encourages discrimination, just like the Three-Fifths Compromise, going all the way back to the foundations of our nation. I would like to share with you the Three-Fifths Compromise is not a pro-discrimination compromise. It was not a pro-discrimination or a slave-driving compromise that the founders made. It was actually just the opposite. It was a compromise that the North made with the South. At the time, there were basically 13 independent nations. They had not really created a constitution. They were sort of a European Union-esque nation. And they were saying to the pro-slave states, hey, if you want to count your slaves to have representation, more representation in Congress, we're not going to let you do that. Because they knew that that would codify things like slavery into our nation. And the North stood up to the South. And they said, we're going to, if you're going to count your property, because the South says, hey, this is our property, but we want to count them in the congressional representation. We want to count them in the census. At the time, there was 30,000 people would equal one member of Congress. And so they said, we're going to count our slaves. We're going to get more members of Congress in the South. The North said, you can't do that. So what they came back to the South and they said, fine, if you want to count your property, your slaves as whole people, we're going to count our property. We're going to count our tables. We're going to count our chairs. We're going to count all the stuff that we have in our house. And the South said, well, you can't do that. And they said, well, you're doing it with your property. We're doing it with our property. So what they did is they came up with a three-fifths compromise. They said, you will only get 3/5 of a vote when it comes to your slave. And what that did, it actually limited the number of pro-slave representatives in Congress by 40%. This was a great move by the North to make sure that slavery would be eradicated in our nation. They knew what they were doing. But now here you have Senate Democrats in today's American Republic who do not understand that. They think the Three-Fifths Compromise was something that was a scourge on black people. That's not what it was. And how did we get to this place?
So I don't, yeah.
Why are we going to this state for a conference?
Because there's black people there.
Yeah, there are black people there.
Are there?
Yeah. So, and I mean, and this is the new world we've entered, where this is the history that, again, this guy is an open Christian white nationalist. This is their version of history of how the Three-Fifths Compromise was something that was good for us as black people because it quickened the end of slavery. And so therefore we have nothing to complain about in terms of American history, how we were treated, what slavery meant. Three-Fifths Compromise, obviously black folks not being enfranchised, so it doesn't make any difference whatsoever in terms of voting or representation for us, but it served the interests of slave masters and slave owners, and it served the interests of the United States government, overt white supremacists on both sides. But now the retelling of the history, because, we don't want any of that DEI or that false history that sort of delves deep into American slavery and white supremacy. But, now we're told that the Three-Fifths Compromise, and I'm sure he's a moment away from also talking about how slavery was actually good for us because it taught us skills. So this is what we have here now for the new way in which history should be taught. And this isn't some fanatic who's like on a street corner, with a pamphlet. No offense to the people on the street corners with pamphlets, who is just saying something that has no power, has no reach. He ain't just talking to his mama at dinner time or his boys in high school. This is the lieutenant governor of a state. He's second in command of a state, a moment away from being the governor of a state. So that's what we're dealing with in terms of intellect and in terms of power. So,
well, at the same time, I'm reminded of Governor George Wallace, Governor Orville Faubus, like people who have had these extremist racist views have held these powerful offices, right? Like, so this guy is actually normal. he's right on brand with his predecessors. So this is not anomalous in my opinion, right? But it just never ceases to amaze me. Like, these people never see the evil in slavery. They never fully, at least, articulate how dehumanizing it is to reduce a person from a one whole person down to a fraction. 3/5 3/5 is a fraction. That means less than one, right? And they never equate our enslaved ancestors as people. Even today, they're slaves, they're property, they're slaves, that's how they still reference, and they never speak about the evils of slavery. And even at this point that he's talking about, when the 3/5 compromise was, ratified as part of the Constitution, enslaved Africans didn't see no morsels of freedom for like another 100 years. That's just talking about to the end of, the Civil War and through the Emancipation Proclamation, not even mention what we experienced after that. But to their point, like, nothing that the founding fathers did was ever wrong, right? It was never evil. It was never apart from God, right? They feel as though everything that was done to create this nation in the name of God, it was all justified. It was all valid. The genocide of the indigenous folks, the enslavement of Africans, the thieving of the land, like, everything was justified and valid and right and just because it was our founding fathers, as though these motherfuckers are deities that descended from the heavens, as though they themselves are not evil, slave owning, raping bastards, right? Get these people out of here. I mean, but they'll never get out of here because this is their country.
And they got to prop up these like, and even as he's telling his version of history, right? It's always about, again, these, like, as exactly you said, like, these so-called great men who did these things. And so it's not in no conversation about the people who are actually enslaved, right? What were their lives like? What were their struggles? And so that's the history that they want us to forget and not know, but they want us to sort of be taken away with the sort of ways in which they tell their own history, everything from film to books to what not now, but what they've always been teaching in their classrooms. And again, I think this is the kind of stuff that now they'll be teaching in their classrooms about what the 3/5 compromise actually meant. It was a forerunner to end slavery. It had nothing to do with continuing slavery going. It had nothing to do with giving more power and political power to white Southern states and slave owners. It was all about how it was all meant to end suffering and slavery. And don't you dare, think otherwise. So don't you dare bring up any other facts. So don't you dare bring up the conditions of those folks. Don't you dare bring up the condition of slavery itself. Because again, the fight back or pushback is there was slavery in all societies, according to I mean, that's chattel slavery wasn't unique.
Yeah, slavery in Egypt.
Yeah.
Slavery everywhere. I mean, I'm just so sick of these crackers. And come out. Here we are in 2025, right? Where a lot of so-called progress has been made. Like, again, I sometimes try to put myself in the shoes of our ancestors. Put yourself in the shoes of your mama growing up in segregated ass South Carolina. Put yourself in the shoes of your grandparents. You feel me? Like, the shit that we deal with, it's real, but I feel like it's still a little bit of small potatoes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But also with this so-called retelling of American history. I mean, but they can't even really get away from it. Like, because you remember there's still, I suppose, some that still argue that the Civil War was not fought because of slavery. It was because of states' rights. It's like, okay, well, go back and read the Constitution of state of Mississippi, the state of Alabama. Read their secession documents when they left the Union. What like the first sentence? We need to keep our niggas officially. You feel me? And it's like y'all can't even the crackers. Y'all can't even run away from your own history. You can't even lie about the shit, right? Because your people spelled it out in no uncertain terms what this all was about.
And then they'll tell again, but the history we're going to get is not going to be that the Civil War was fought to maintain the Union. And again, as Abraham Lincoln said themselves, he didn't care whether or not there was slavery or not. His role was to save the Union, right? It wasn't like to free Africans from bondage. It wasn't like he was some progressive. And again, he had meetings at the White House with so-called black leaders and told them, I think the best thing for y'all is just to leave. That was the solution that he wanted. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe just leave. That's like, let us have our country, and you served your purpose here. You can just leave, whatever.
Listen.
So the whole idea that this was somehow going forward, like the Civil War, which again will be taught to us as the Great War to end slavery. This wasn't what it was about, right? This is about whether or not the Union would stay together and in what form it would. And as Lincoln said himself, if he could preserve the Union with slavery limited in the South, they would have done that.
And also, when they talk about the Revolutionary War, this gentleman is referring to these, the Constitutional Convention, etc. I don't remember what was the war fought before or after that come out. I can't recall. But regardless, who was actually trying to liberate African people from bondage? It was the British, as much as I hate to say it. But for enslaved people that would fight on the side of the British, they did get freedom.
Yeah.
By the thousands. They got to go to Canada. They went to the Bahamas. Like they got their freedom. They got to leave. And people, black folks that stood on the side of the Patriots, got their lineage further enslaved for several more generations.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way America is the country of freedom. Not even.
You got to pop in here, Ear Doc. Oh no, Ear Doc kept trying to pop in with something, but maybe
what you got? What you got?
Oh no! I was just thinking how we are all still slaves and serfs, and we're just identified by our social security number. We got to make sure that the economy keeps going.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with serf. Yeah. I think we are serfs.
A good view of what happened after the Civil War is that as opposed to chattel slavery, right? Wage slavery took over, right? The industrialization of the North was not about freeing workers. It was about saying that they had a better system, a better idea about how work should be done, and that the South was preventing the industrialization of the country, and that they can get a better bang for their buck if they didn't have to pay what minimal they did pay, but they didn't have to supply housing and food for workers, but pay them and let them go fend for themselves. And the fending for themselves would just be in a system which you control already, the housing and food, but they're paying you for it as opposed to you giving it away. So as far as the Northern industrialists were concerned, the South was just a backward system. It wasn't an evil system. It was just backwards. It played out its usefulness. And now under a new sort of rise in industrialization, there was a new system in which those workers could be exploited in a better way, but yet still be exploited.
Mm-hmm. And they did the whites terrible too. It'd be your own niggas. They did the whites terrible. What was he did? What was the name of those towns? There was a certain name for them, but I'm thinking of like coal country in Pennsylvania and West Virginia, where you had these Irish immigrants, these immigrants from the British Isles coming over and slaving, for lack of a better word, slaving away in the mines. But then they had to pay rent to their employer because the employer owned the town, the employer owned the stores, right? So everything that these wage slaves earned, so-called earned in their through their labor, it was immediately going right back to their employer, whose home that the employer owned the home. The employee had to pay rent to the employer to stay there, had to go to the employer's grocery store to buy good. I mean, it was just
company towns. Yeah.
What's it called?
Company towns. Yeah.
Company towns. Okay.
Yeah. And they're bringing that back too. Like there are some of these these Amazon,
and
Tesla, but these Amazon industrial sites, right? They're starting to include or go forth with having places for people to rent, or places for places for people to get food. And who owns all that, right? It's still owned by the same big company. So as you eat, sleep, and drink that company, any wages you get go right back to that company and at a profit. So they're making money, not only the profit they're making off of working you for wages which are less than you deserve, but then you got to go back and, like you said, pay rent, and then you got to go back and buy food, and some of that is coming back around to the same company, which is exploiting and keeping you there. You know what I mean? Again, this is not unique to the American system. There's a lot of systems around the world when they introduce capitalism, they provide, and even today when you look at the farming system, right, with the the way like the immigrants are forced to sometimes sleep at the farms or stay on the farms, and they have that stuff taking out of their pay. So this sort of these company towns, like they're not just a relic of the past. They're still here, and they are indicative of how workers get treated now and then.
Resist, everybody, even the whites. Whites, y'all gotta resist too, because that's their dream. They just want to have a rainbow, or assortment of enslaved folks. Y'all too.
So speaking of that, like this, so the next story I have is on the federal. We've talked about the federal job cuts before, and how these cuts impact Black folks more, because again, within the system that we have, the private enterprise has never hired Black folks in ratio, I guess, to the numbers they represent in the population, or we represent in the population. And so the offset of that has been Black folks having to rely on government jobs, federal and or local jobs, to get into the middle class. And this particular article talks about federal work shaped a Black middle class. Now it's destabilized by Trump job cuts. And so I'll skip the personal story about the person, but it says working for the U.S. government has also come with benefits and job stability that have attracted many Black federal employees. And it says now the Trump administration's slashing of government jobs, ongoing hiring freeze, and attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are upending what has been a long-standing path into the middle class of many Black workers. And it says the exact numbers and demographic of the workers affected by the ongoing federal job cuts are hard to come by. But the government's latest public data from September 2024 shows Black people make up 18.5% of the federal civilian workforce. Now, remember, we make up approximately, I guess they said this later, about 15% of the U.S. population. So we are overrepresented when it comes to federal workforce, right, in terms of the jobs that we get, because again, private employers are overtly racist in terms of their hiring practices. And here they have some of the agencies and the amount of Black employees and the percentages. And it says the path from post-World War II boom in federal jobs to today's uncertainty. I won't go there, but it says they're going through people who had federal jobs and who lived there, again, provided stable homes and opportunities for their families. And as we've also talked about, part of the issue has become, when these folks do become middle class, unfortunately, they also come with middle class ethos and biases, and start to look at other folks and be like, well, why ain't you got what I got? That kind of thing. But it says still for Black employees trying to advance through the ranks of civil service can be a bumpy road. Talking about the issues of advancing within. I'm trying to get to a part where they talk a little bit more.
Can I interject here while you're looking for that part? Because I'd like to reference some things referenced by some of our comrades on this platform. Jackie Lukman has brought this up. Renee Johnston, more specifically, brought this up on a recent episode of Saturdays with Renee, where she went through the numbers when Bill Clinton became president and how there was a big shedding of federal jobs in 1992. Led, I think, by Vice President Gore at the time. And I think Renee found that more jobs, federal jobs, were lost during the Clinton administration than have been lost already under Trump. So this seems to be a bipartisan generational purge of federal workers. So I just wanted to just point that out for the framing, as though this is something unprecedented what Trump has done or is doing, that like this sort of slashing of federal employees it's not a new thing, right? So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Bipartisan, but in terms of the time crunch, again, I think that's part of the big difference is
the speed in which Trump
is attempting to fire workers, particularly obviously Black workers and so-called DEI, is, we're talking about, Clinton had 2 terms. And then post that, some of those workers, the federal government grew post that. I think so I think it's true, of course, that the Democrats, again, do the similar things to what the Republicans do. But the attempt to expedite or to do this in such a short period of time will be destabilizing. I mean, it would be destabilizing over a 7-year period. So imagine what it's going to be over a 200-day period or within a year. If they begin to reach the numbers, at least that they're planning to try to reach in terms of cutting people off of the federal workforce. And again, in an economy that is dependent upon, for Black folks, these federal jobs or government type of positions, because of the lack of hiring at the private sector, you're talking about potentially something that equates to a recession, a larger recession for the Black community when it comes to job stabilization. And at the same time, and this, obviously even the job cuts don't impact us Black folks, but the social service safety net, being destabilized impacts Black folks, white folks, working class folks. And that seems to also be on a chopping block. So at the same time, they're talking about cutting jobs. They're also talking about cutting the so-called social safety net, whatever there is of it. Not saying that there's always been some, it's not exactly as big as, let's say, European safety nets are in terms of their budgets, but here it's worse.
You know what they just got in Canada? Canada, they just expanded, I think, dental care for everybody. And then they did something else like $10 a day childcare. I'm like, nigga, how come we can't nice shit? We don't have nothing nice, Kamal.
Oh no, but you are getting something nice.
What?
It may not impact you. Okay. But I mean, and again, I wish I could find a story about it, but did we just hear talk last week around how they're trying to give resources to get more women to have babies? Like $5,000 per pregnancy or something. So there's your healthcare. There's your little token.
Wait. Repeat this. This is
Have you not heard this stuff?
Nope. My phone.
No,
I broke my phone 2 weeks ago, and I've been phoneless, it's been amazing. But anyway,
it's handmaiden tales all over the place. So the federal government is talking about. Let me look up a story real quick. Giving money.
What they do in Russia? Don't they incentivize?
Well, that's what they were trying to do in China, right? For a little while.
Yeah. Okay.
But incentivizing pregnancy.
So beyond the threat of imprisonment.
Yes.
Beyond what they're currently doing, threatening to throw bitches and doctors in jail. Don't you dare have a miscarriage and or an abortion, because your ass.
No. Then you can go to jail for that. But let me see if I can find a quick story about it.
$5,000. That I can already tell you that's a lowball number. You can forget that. That is not enough. It needs to be along the lines of $250,000 if we talking. How bad do you want these babies, Elon? How bad you want these babies? You won't want them bad enough if you only offering $5,000.
You need a break to find them?
Yeah, let's take a break, and I'll find the story, because it was hilarious when I saw it. I was like, is this for real? It was like one of those, is this for real? But yes, cool. Of course it's for real.
Let's take a break right here on the Remix Morning Show and hit you on the head with some more of that Boom Bap Breakfast. Let's go. Remix on the remix.
Whatever happens, whatever may come, whatever may be, it's cool. I got it covered for loving from A to Z. I'm the overweight lover, heavy but diddly D. And you can flip on a trip on, it's so right with me. The things were meant to be, the be can be meant. And what I'm here to represent is excellent. If you need any help, open your eyes and it's anything that you will see, cause you're all right with me.
Saying that you're gonna show, never I got you. My heart belongs to you. All running. Worlds could end up on me. Show me that cancer. You need one meant to be. That's all right with me. Remembrance may go. I've been good, I know. You said you I share them all about with me. The big thing to get, I got to be it. You got to have them all about with me.
All right, let me take you to a time and place. Let me take you back to 1988 with my man James Brown off the album Motherload. Name of this song is She's the One. Mixed with a little bit of 1989. Let's take it 1 year ahead to Janet Jackson's album Rhythm Nation 1814. The name of this song is All Right With Me, featuring Heavy Bun Diddledy. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare, and donate where? At blkliberationmedia.org. Yes, donate so we can keep this plane of flying, this boat of sailing, and this car driving. And you know, that's what we do. All right, let's get back to it right here on the Remix Morning Show.
She's the one that makes me feel good.
Yeah, that's James, boy.
I know, man. You can't beat them beats.
Nah.
I know the band
Maceo!
gets credit too. Yeah, Maceo.
Maceo. That's right. I know. I don't know about Maceo beating people, but you know, as I said, when it comes to a whole group and stuff like that, we always take it out on the lead singer and forget that there's a whole band behind them.
That's also yeah. Credit where credit is due. The workers who
It's
James
like,
would find, right?
you
James
know.
would give a little fine if they weren't on point.
Like
They were on beat.
Africa Bambaataa, we forget about the Soul Sonic Force here.
Right, he did that too, besides the child molestation, or
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's one person did it, and then they just you can't throw away
well,
all.
you know, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to slink away from that.
The Soul Sonic Force.
Hit me. Dun, 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 hit me. Zun, 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 zun. Zun, 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 zun.
Okay, Kim, nice and quiet down there. I love it. All right.
I just want to point out about Janet Jackson's All Right. The remix featured Heavy D. Heavy D, the only rapper to do songs with both Janet and Michael Jackson. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Good.
Oh, wow. That's a good piece of history there.
I remember we was calling him commercial because we was like, "Oh, look at him! He popped out doing songs with all these R&B artists and stuff like that." And now look at today, R&B artists are rapping.
In a movie? Was he in a movie before he died?
Yes, Heavy was acting. He was on a show called, I think, Boston Public. I remember watching him.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a Fox, high school drama. He was a teacher or guidance counselor or something like that. But I think he was also in a couple other movies.
Other movies, yeah. He's the Man. He was in Jersey Drive. He was in a bunch of different movies. And he was dating Nia Long. Whew.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
And he produced beats for Nas. Man, I can keep going on.
He dated Nia Long?
Yeah.
What? I would have loved to snuggled up to Heavy D fluffy ass. What you talking about?
He would have put that bun diddly on you. All right, I'm out of here.
Snuggle up in them D cups. You know what I'm saying? Heavy was cute.
Heavy was heavy.
Heavy was heavy. Heavy D. A body positivity king before niggas even knew what body positivity was.
True.
All right.
All right. So I found. Look at now, and look at this great picture too.
Okay.
This is exact. White House assesses ways to persuade women to have more children. Says
so
baby gold.
I'm assuming they're going to pay white women more, right? Of course.
I they can't. I didn't say it, but I feel like that's somehow they're going to make sure that this program, gets to certain places and not others or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure about that. They're going to offer it some places. It's like, well, no, it just happened to be the population was 99.9% white, and that's why that's not why we did it. These are test markets. So it says baby bonuses and menstrual cycle classes are among the ideas pitched to Trump aides as they consider plans to try boosting the birth rate. So here it says the White House has been hearing out a chorus of ideas in recent weeks for persuading Americans to get married and have more children. An early sign that the Trump, we get how many times did this dude get married? An early sign that the Trump administration will embrace a new cultural agenda pushed by many of its allies on the right to reverse declining birth rates and push conservative family values. Said one proposal shared with AIDS would reserve 30% of scholarships for the Fulbright program, the prestigious government-backed international fellowship for applicants who are married or have children.
Wow.
Another would give a $5,000 cash baby bonus to every American mother after delivery.
Not worth it.
Every call, another third call on the government to fund programs that educate women on their menstrual cycles, in part so they can better understand that they are ovulating and able to conceive, because you guys don't know that.
Or the opposite, rather. Yes, teach women about their menstrual cycles so they can know when not.
That's not part of the plan, Kim.
You're gonna get pregnant during these 7 days, so do not do that whole week. Anyway,
it says these ideas and others are emerging from a movement concerned with declining birth rates that have been gaining steam for years and now finally has allies in the U.S. administration, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Elon Musk. Policy experts and advocates of boosting the birth rate have been meeting with White House aides, sometimes handing over written proposals on ways to help to convince women to have more babies, according to 4 people who have been part of the meetings who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversations.
So I'm guessing the forced birth policies of anti-abortion laws is not doing it. Like, it's not like they haven't seen an uptick in births since the overturn of Roe v. Wade. Oh, I guess people are finding a way to still have abortions, as everybody said. If you make abortion illegal, people are not going to stop having abortions. Abortions are just going to become less safe, right? Mm-hmm. So people are not going to stop trying to terminate pregnancies or, leaving their state if they're able to go get that reproductive health care elsewhere where it's legal. So, I mean, that's what are you deducing from this? Like, because it wasn't not the whole point of overturning Roe v. Wade to force women into pregnancies and force them into births. So I'm guessing over these past 2 years, maybe they haven't seen the results.
They haven't seen the results they wanted. And remember, people can, those who can afford it, but people can travel to other states if they're not going to do something in their home state. But they can travel to other state. There's still the day after pills that folks can get their hands on. So they probably feel that this hasn't worked well enough, and so they want to offer these other incentives. But it's interesting that what they don't offer is healthcare for all. And maternity leave for women who are pregnant and who want to have their children and have time spent home with their children. Do you have other countries that offer not only maternity leave and healthcare at a certain rate, but also offer support and help, to stay with the families for 6 weeks or so, right? Or paternity leave for dads and all that kind of stuff. Some of these things are part of the everyday fabric of healthcare that other people experience. But again, in the so-called richest country in the world, those things are not only anomalies, but they're off the table. But yet you can give a one-time $5,000 cash offer potentially as a part of an idea.
When the labor and delivery at a hospital costs $10,000, get the fuck out my face.
Which I was shocked at when we first had out. I was like, we getting a bill? There's a bill? There's a bill? I'm getting a huge bill to have a baby? It's like, in
addition to the baby itself is a bill, and then you get another bill. So, I mean, and listen, for people that watch from outside of the United States, I know we do have some, the viewers abroad. No, it's really the ghetto here, y'all. Like, it's not a game. No, you do not get coverage for your pregnancy, your labor, and your delivery after the baby is born. What's the standard come out? It's 6 to 8 weeks paid, maybe paid leave. So we have nurseries, childcare centers full of 6-week-olds. Mm-hmm. That's not the real term, but 6-week-olds, right? 8-week-olds, 10-week-olds, 12-week-olds. Like, working American parents don't get time with their kids ever. Mm-hmm. Never. Not when they're born, not when they're going to school, no time whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And it's the ghetto. Like, There's nothing redeemable about it. Like Canada has a better system, the UK has a better system, France, all the so-called Western industrialized nations. And as much as I hear the people with socialized healthcare, like I hear Canadians complain, I hear Brits complain. It's like, nigga, y'all don't want this shit though. Y'all do not want this. Y'all do not want this poverty shit over here. Okay, it's the ghetto.
No, whatever their welfare system is, their social net, like they fight hard to keep, like they're trying to like take it back too in those other Western nations. But those folks fight hard to keep it because they know it's like what are you talking about? You want to take this away? This is what makes life worth living. It gives us a chance to have stability at home life and a balance or whatever. But you're right, like when Again had our second child, she was boom, like 6 weeks later, it was like in that nursery and at that job, right? And you're lucky they have that, right? Like, because it's not like it's mandatory. And a lot of jobs don't give you that amount of time. So you're lucky to have that. So this whole idea that the way in which you want to encourage folks to have families or so forth is to give a one-time cash offering or to teach classes.
4 figures, Kamal? Do you understand what a joke that is? You know what a joke that is? Like that is disrespectful. Nigga, escorts make more than $5,000 in a night. Okay. I'm sorry, you won't give me only $5,000 for pushing out a whole human out of my vagina of all places? Are you crazy?
And I bet you, like you again, where these programs will be introduced will be extremely interesting to see who they're actually encouraging to have babies. You know,
well, but because the whole even the whole premise of the argument is false, right? That there's a low birth rate. Not true. Black women are having babies. Latinas are having babies. Some of our Asian homies and sisters are having babies. It's the whites that's not having the babies. Okay, so we don't have a low birth weight. We have a low birth weight of a whites. And so say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't sit here and act like they're trying to do something. Not you, but you understand the policy. We're trying to stimulate births in America. No. You want Becky to have more babies.
Yes. The whole idea of the white nationalist thing is, again, returning back to the idea, at least in my, like, I think it's so funny. I've been talking to other folks and everybody has different timelines for where they think America wants to return back to. Like, you know what I mean? In terms of like the thinking of like, where are we going back to?
Is
like
it
in my mind,
or is it 1850?
Exactly. No, that's exactly right. In my mind, I'm convinced they want to do it the 1950s, leave it to Beaver, Cleaver, whatever it is, where there's like just a 2-parent household. The husband is working, the mother is home with the kids. The dad has the pension, and it's a job that they can feed their family on. Everybody's going to church on Sunday, Christian church, of course. No, of course, they should be going to place else. But I got other friends who are like, oh hell no, they're thinking about I'm sorry, I left out the best part. Overt segregation, right? Jim Crow.
Oh yes.
They want to get back to those times where it's like, no, you understand, black folks get jobs. It's after the jobs that the white folks don't have, or is at a lower rate or whatever it is. But that's what I think they're trying to get back to. I know others who are really where you're at. They're like, no. They're kind of get back like after Reconstruction. Like they're trying to get back all the way there, kind of thing. And they go on international, like no UN. The United States has the right to invade wherever it wants to invade. U.S. home life, again, is similar to rugged individualism. You don't need no rules. Like, if you buy something and you die, well, hell, you just die. You shouldn't have bought it that day. But you don't need no rules on a lot of that kind of stuff. It's naked, aggressive capitalism and made a so-called best man win. And they do mean best man because they don't think women should necessarily be involved in any of this stuff. But there are people who are literally having arguments around how far back we think that this current regime, and not just the regime, right, but the general feeling of a large portion, particularly of white America, wants the country to go back to. So like you said, like some people are saying post-Reconstruction, there are people saying 1850, and there's people like me going like the 1950s and stuff like that.
Sir, I can't imagine either of those times. And unfortunately, probably not going to have to struggle to imagine either of those times because they're probably going to be upon us really quick. But I mean, like, I don't know what, I mean, But I think white people are going to understand like their existence is really boring without us and without people of color and black folks, right? Your food is your culture, your music, you know what I'm saying? Think about the 1950s, Kamal. The white kids was sneaking out the house to go to the Negro sock hops. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't get enough of us. You know, they didn't want us in their schools. Fine. Well, then fucking stop listening to our music. Stop jocking our style. Like they can't, like they think that they want a country minus coloreds. They don't.
They don't mind the
That's
black
their fault.
celebrities
So
as long as the celebrities know their place, you know.
we ain't got no riz. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I don't think they mind because and then you got all these rappers, these celebrities, they all up in Trump's face, right? There's a lot of them that's like, hey, Trump is not, you know, he's about the money, and they got money now. They think they got real money now, so they're like, hey, Trump got money. He's looking out for people like them in terms of their class analysis. So I think they're good with this, like, you know, Snoop. They're good with Snoop. You know what I mean? Do a little
Watch
performance.
it because this is why I think for many reasons, but Trump is absolutely some sort of demon, right? Like something there's an evil entity about him. I'm not even being funny. I'm dead ass.
Mm-hmm.
So look at the niggas that got all up in Trump's face in his first term. Kanye and Kodiak Black. Look at them niggas now. Okay. Look at them niggas now. Them niggas is poor unfortunate souls. Okay, that's what happens when you dance with the devil in the pale moonlight, my nigga. You can't it's not gonna end well. It's not gonna end well. So Snoop, I suggest you reconsider.
I hope. Yeah. So we brought this story up earlier. I'll bring it back up just because we didn't explore how serious she is. So Keisha Lance Bottoms, poised to enter race for Georgia governor. For those who don't know, Keisha Lance Bottoms was the mayor of Atlanta. She was the person who introduced Cop City to the general public. A plan to bring a militarized police training center here in Atlanta after the 2020 uprisings. She was the mayor during the 2020 uprisings, and with her man Killer Mike stood up there and told black folks to get off the street. To go into our houses, stop protesting, stop organizing, stop mobilizing. Developers and capitalists were mad. And so we needed to get off the streets because business couldn't be done as usual because folks had the nerve to be protesting police murders of black folks. So this person has decided, and then after she decided not to run for re-election for the mayor, which I do think had a lot to do with, one, her thinking she had a real job with Biden waiting.
She's gonna get a promotion.
That's what I thought it was. I was like, she thinks she's going to the White House for a real job. And then others also suggested that she was doing it or she backed off because her mentor was going to run again for mayor and told her that he wouldn't back her. So there's all this speculation. So she did get a job temporarily with the government, but of course, nothing big and nothing that served any real purpose in terms of furthering her career. So now she is, entering back in to be the governor. So it said Bottoms, who served in former President Joe Biden's administration, submitted the paperwork Monday to raise campaign donations for next year's race. She issued a statement making it clear she is not yet ready to announce her candidacy, but she is honored and humbled by the encouragement she has received. As I have considered running for governor, I am taking an important administrative step in this journey by filing necessary paperwork to establish a campaign committee, she said. So this is this is another way of collecting money that somehow she can spend because she ain't got no real job right now, I assume. Bottoms would immediately become the most high-profile Democrat running in a race. Two other prominent figures have already opted out of the race. Four-term Democratic lawmaker Lucy Macbeth suspended her run for governor. I had no idea she was even running. Jason Carter, grandson of former President Jimmy Carter, also said he wasn't running. Remember, he did run once and did terrible. In fact, Stacey Abrams did a lot better than he did. The state's Republican Governor Brian Kemp is term limited, and Cook Political Report lists the open Georgia race as a toss-up. If Bottom wins, Georgia would be led by a Democrat for the first time in 2003, and she becomes the country's first ever Black woman governor. So she's about to try to get out there and run for governor, and she doesn't have a chance in hell. But
I
that's
was about to say, I think Killer Mike probably would stand a better chance of becoming Georgia governor than Keisha Lance Bottoms. I don't know. First of all, I don't know any Black people by the last name of Bottoms. Do you know any other Bottoms? Chat. Do y'all know any other Bottoms? I'm talking about people with last name, not actual Bottoms, which is fine, by the way. But I don't know no niggas named Bottoms. That is a red flag right there. So, but Keisha, like what do these Negroes do in the interim, like in between offices? Like, because how can I say this? When people hold prominent positions, Black folks, I don't know where they go if they don't get another prominent political position. Like maybe they'll go head some sort of nonprofit, or the DNC will put them somewhere. Like,
or they're trying to get the TV show, like trying to be a commentator or pundit on MSNBC, or some teaching gig at a college. So I'm like, let me do some lectures. But that might be too much work for Keisha Lance Bottoms. I don't quite see her trying to do that. That's where Stacey Abrams landed. I think she went to a university. And if anybody was screwed during that time period, I thought she was the perfect pick for if you wanted to have a Black woman who was going to be as vice president. She brought a Black constituency. She could raise money. But he chose none of that because he chose instead to go with Harris.
Top Mala.
Yeah.
For colorist and
exactly
thinnest reasons, right?
Exactly.
It's like, wow, could you be more obvious? Could you be more blatant in the reasons that you're not picking Stacey Abrams, who is infinitely qualified, right, to do whatever role that Joe Biden would have needed her to do? But nope, he wanted Kamala with the silk press instead of Stacey with the locks.
No, I think that's completely right. Somebody said that she could go back to lawyer. She doesn't want to work hard. I think that's what's been said about Keisha Lance Bottoms here in Atlanta is, the political insiders, is that she was not a quote unquote hard worker, and that she doesn't, for one, the other speculation for why she did not want to become mayor again or run again was that it was too tough of a job in terms of all the back and forth. And you could thank people like me for making her job hard, and that she didn't want to deal with that. So I don't think she does want to go back to being a lawyer, because, you can't just be a lawyer. Like, you gotta write memos, you gotta make appearances, you gotta do research. So I don't think she wants to do all of that kind of stuff. She wants to do something where she could do some high level managing, and then tell other people to do the hard work. But again, I don't think she has a chance in hell of being governor. I think she actually also knows that, and this is also just a profile thing, right? This is, how do I lift my profile so that I can get that job at MSNBC, or I can get some kind of cushy nonprofit job or something along those lines. Because otherwise, I don't know. But I can't. I'm not the best picker of these things, to be honest. But yeah.
Yes, and Keisha, I'm imagining, for one, it takes a lot of work to look that put together. People don't underestimate that. Like they really think that women just wake up and I woke up like this. No, you were sitting in that chair with that lady doing your hair for 2+ hours. Somebody did your nails for an hour plus. Your stylist picked out your outfit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that takes work. That is work, Kamau.
My bad. I'm sorry.
And it is hard work, by the way. Like, ask any very feminine appearing woman, for one, bitches who can do that shit effortlessly. I hate them. I hate them very badly, because it's like, how do you have the talent and the skills to be able to do all that yourself? Most women don't. I won't say most. Some women do not have that talent, so they go to the professionals, and that shit takes time. It takes time. So I don't know. Keisha can pretty much wrap it up. My question is this: like, how consequential? I do believe that the governor of Georgia wields tremendous power. Like, Georgia is a interesting state, right? It's an agricultural engine. It's now an entertainment, economic, engine part of the South. Atlanta is a magnet. It is the metropolis of the South, basically, right? And so people come to Georgia Georgia's very consequential, and I know Governor Kemp did a lot of fuckery over this past legislative sessions, like the kind of shit he signed into law. Jesus, like if a Democrat could be elected, would they be able to potentially undo some of the nonsense that Kemp has done?
Only from the idea of their own executive orders, or having been in charge of such a vast sort of administrative network. So in that respect, they could, but they couldn't. You know, the legislature is still controlled by Republicans, both houses, almost a near supermajority, if I'm not mistaken. So there's not. There's the idea of like doing less harm, right? You know what I mean? Again, I don't think that's a. I don't think that's a negative thing, right? Like, again, I'm not a lesser of two evils dude, but there is a lesser of harm that can be done potentially with a Democrat as opposed to an overt right-wing white nationalist governor, right? So I do think that having a Democrat in there could mean that kind of thing. But again, you know, it lulls people to sleep, right? Not that people are active now under again this right-wing Governor Kemp in mass, but so I think that's the only outcome that could be asked for, is like, you know, there would be less overt language. You know, as I was saying it, I took it back. I was going around more cops, but I was like, no, I forgot the Democrats went on that too, so that won't be that. More language around healthcare, more language around protecting immigrants, more language. So I think there are those kind of outcomes that people could hope for. But as far as any sort of major legislative victories, I mean, the Democrat would have the power to, of course, veto legislation. And then again, because I don't think the Republicans hold a super majority, although close, some of those vetoes could mean. So it could mean watered down bills as opposed to some of the things, excuse me, that we're getting now. So those are the things that I think, you know, at best you could look for under this current system, even with these current candidates, because you don't have any candidate that's got any real politics, that can articulate real politics, other than sort of talking points that Democrats do all the time. So I wouldn't expect any great change, even if a so-called Democrat won, which I doubt is, but I don't think is going to happen.
We'll see. Okie dokie. Hey, remixers, thank y'all so much for joining us on this.
What are you talking? It's 9:30.
I know that. It's called
you're just doing a break. Oh, I'm so sorry. My bad.
Christ.
I got
the
nervous.
Professionals. Just sit there and be cute. There we go. Hey guys, how y'all feeling, remixers? We appreciate y'all joining us this morning. It's Kim Brown, Come Out Franklin, Ear Doctor in the Cut, remixers. Please like the video. Again, like the video. Again, please like the video. We appreciate it. We are just shy of 50K subscribers. So please tell a friend to tell a friend, and a cousin and a kinfolk and all of that. Bring the folks over here to Black Liberation Media. Don't forget, we've got the big Black Radical Organizing Conference Convention happening in Indianapolis. Lovely Indianapolis, Indiana, starting May 31st. Where can people go to get more information about that, Kamal?
They can go to communitymovementbuilders.org. It's at the header. And they can see it right there. I'll also drop it in the chat during the Ear Doctor's break. But we are now, so there's like, oh wow, it's even got 234 tickets in stock, which means we have sold at 266 tickets from here. Okay. We've also sold an additional 40 or 50 tickets. So we've sold well over 300 tickets. So folks should understand that they should do it now. We've already sold more tickets this time than we had at the last conference.
Wow.
And we did push up the numbers to try to at least sell closer to 400 to 500 tickets. So again, those tickets are now starting to move faster. There's 1 month left. May 30th, 31st, and June 1st. We'll be in Indiana with our famous lieutenant, your famous lieutenant governor, who thinks the 3/5 compromise.
You should invite him.
I wonder how many agents gonna be at the airport while we all getting off the plane and stuff.
Agents at the airport. Them niggas gonna be in the hotel lobby. Gonna be at
in the conference.
They're gonna be at Applebee's. Where's the agent?
Every restaurant close to the
Listen. Shout out, hey feds. Listen, we know y'all watch. We appreciate it. Can y'all like the video? Thank you so much. Now, listen, feds, we're going to be looking for y'all. Now, we're not going to be snitch tagging nobody, but we are going to be having an eyeball out for you niggas in particular, because we know that y'all at least savvy enough to send niggas. So we're going to be looking out for them sellout niggas. We're not going to call them out, but we're going to have all eyeballs available, because we know y'all coming. We know y'all coming. Y'all ain't got shit else better to do. Y'all running up in niggas' houses looking for spray paint. We know y'all coming to the fucking convention, okay?
Hey, is it $25 for the whole weekend?
Yeah, the conference is only $25. We wanted to make sure that the conference was accessible. Grassroots folks, everyday people. We know y'all got to spend. People got to spend money to get there. So the last thing we wanted to do is to put some kind of big conference price on it, even if jobs, nonprofit jobs are paying for some people, whatever it is. We just think we need a space to talk, to strategize, to network, to think through tactics and plans. And so that's what this conference is for. How do we as Black folks prepare for this moment? How do we organize?
All right. And me and Kim Brown will be back with Classical Breakdown, not this week, but next week. We're starting back next month. We need to take a little break, y'all. We've been going strong for like 7 months.
Really?
So,
it's been 7 months?
Yeah.
7 months worth of Classical Breakdown. Seriously?
Seriously. Yeah.
Wow.
Think what month we in now?
We in April, almost May.
Exactly.
So 7 months ago would have been what, November?
Damn, you terrible at math. October. But anyway, it's all good. We will be back, and we'll also be at this conference also. So,
Yep.
Man, I'm disappointed. You said there's 200 some tickets. Like, come on, Cash Money Patel. You know, y'all got plenty of money in the budget. Y'all just might as well buy out the rest of that block.
Only $25. That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, it's a lot they're getting. But anyway, you know me. Let me go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll come back with some more right here on no other than the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
Remix.
Remix show when we good to go. Here go the flow. It go like H2O. It's water, slaughter. Anybody's out of order, they gon' get it. Me, I'm not a critic. Me, I stay lifted. Off this music, it's terrific. Oh man, I'm so gifted. Big up to everybody tuning in right here, right now. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. And go ahead and go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare. And donate at blkliberationmedia.org. We need y'all support so we can keep this thing going. All right, boom. So we got a lot of dope shows here on the Remix Morning Show. One show in particular I would like to shed some light on is Root Work. Root Work, as we were talking about how music and different types of spirituality can influence movements. She got to talk about that on the last Root Work, African Spiritual Warfare, IFA for activists. Check it out.
Alafia. We give thanks to our Creator, whom Egbe Egun knows as Olodumare, and our collective ancestors. Adupwe. We give thanks to the hundreds and thousands of people from all walks of life and all over the world who will be joining us in solidarity July 9th, 2016, 10 p.m., to break and crush the spirit of police brutality through ritual, prayer, offering, or by simply offering their support and encouragement. Let us be clear, as a priest of ancestral African traditions and a people of practical sense, we are taught, trained by elders, to be responsible and completely focused when performing rituals of any kind.
All right. Make sure y'all check that one out. That is Root Work, talking about how Ifa, African traditions and spirituality help different people that are in the movement and organizations in all types of ways, how we were able to use spirituality to help us take it to the next level. All right, boom. Let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do. Yeah. You know what I like about the thing I love about sports and is how you can see the will of a person, like that whole godliness come about him and be like, you know how Michael Jordan had the flu and then came back and was like, yo, I'm gonna win this game. You get to see the power that you don't usually get to see in sports when people are able to will themselves to other levels. And even like when a preacher is up there preaching, like when they get in that zone and it's just like they or like an activist or something, like when you get in the zone and you just like you, and it's just freestyling, but it's just connecting like bam, bam, bam. That's a spiritual thing to me. And I definitely appreciate it. Like when I'm freestyling, like when I was just freestyling, I didn't know what I was gonna say, but it just came.
Yeah, it kicks up the adrenaline, right?
Yeah.
I think sports are powerful for that. People like to see people achieve or do things at high levels and things that other people wish they could do but can't do. And these human beings have this amazing talent to do it. So, yeah.
When else do you get to really focus, align your chakras and get your chi and your breathing going correctly? You know what I mean? That's
my
when
chakras are always aligned, by the way. Always. Always aligned.
I don't know. Your crown chakra looks a little off right now, but yeah.
You can see my crown chakra. That sounds. I feel like I'm naked right now.
It's an aura. It's a glow.
The
you can
aura.
See it.
Yo, the film dude is gone. He was here for a long time. I was like, yo, you still filming? How much of this film?
Word? Was you comfortable to say what you wanted to say?
Well, I've tried to be a little bit more, Kim was niggering it up, but I tried to be a little bit more dignified.
I wish you said cracker.
Yeah,
was he white?
I thought we was keeping it real. I thought we was keeping it real. I didn't know y'all wanted me to be played pretend.
No, I never want you to be anything. This is my preferred. I don't want you to go back to your real news days. Never again. Never again. Never that Kim again. Only this Kim. Only this
I can't go back. The mask, mask can't go back on. It's once it's mask off forever.
Speaking of, it looked like it took you hours because she was ear doc. You got to see. Did you ever see the picture I showed you? She was all Kim when she was the real news, all dolled up with the makeup.
When she interviewed you.
Yeah.
We seen it.
You saw that, the hair, the look. I was like, that must have took some work.
So I don't like to do it. I dislike it. That's why I have such an admiration for women and non-binary people who are proficient at the feminine arts, as I call them, the feminine arts. You're good at the makeup, you're good at the hair, you're good at the nails, you're good at the accessorizing. Yeah, I'm jelly because I can do that shit, but it just takes so much effort. I'm like, fuck this. Like, no.
We see you're clearly rebelling right now.
Ain't acceptable, then it just ain't acceptable. Well, fuck it. Whatever.
Well, as long as we get to get some good commentation. Did I say that right?
What did you say?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
We was gonna allow it. Yo, it was so funny. Ear Doctor, I want you to know your euphemisms ring out, sir. I think I was talking to my mom and she said something about a conundrum. I said, Mom, I don't think that's a word.
It sound right.
I said, we were like, that sounds like some shit Ear Doctor put together. Quandary and conundrum. It was a conundrum. I'm like,
But you understood what she was talking about, though, didn't you? See?
Yeah. It was close enough. It was like close enough.
How else do slang words get made up? We got to make them up. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yes. So, we need to dismantle this language.
I add to the culture. Y'all stuck on what the white man gave y'all. I add to the culture with these words. Thank you. That's all y'all really got to say.
That's how I have to check my oldness, right? Because anytime I feel myself getting a little grumpy about people's poor grammar, I'm like, I'm not invested in this fucking language. I don't care if people, I don't care if they bastardize English. Good, bastardize it. Don't be a grammar Nazi. Who cares if the people are saying shit all fucked up? Who cares?
My goodness, right? Oh my goodness. Love Webster, boy. All right. We got about time for y'all to do some more stories. Holla.
All right. Thanks, Ear Doctor. Remixers, thank you guys so much. BLKLiberationMedia.org is where you go if you want to lend, extend some material support. We appreciate it. Also, head on over to patreon.com/Black Liberation Media, where I'm certain there are a plethora of Patreon exclusive only content offerings for you to go over there and get some. So go do that, please, and thank you.
So I should do a companion story because apparently Erica laced us with this story that not only Keisha Lance, but Stacey Abrams is considering apparently another crack at being governor, at least according to this story. Says Democrat Stacey Abrams is seriously considering a third straight run for Georgia governor, a source familiar confirmed with Fox News Digital. Abrams, a former Democratic Party leader in the Georgia state legislature and a nationally known voting rights advocate, narrowly lost to now Governor Brian Kemp in 2018. In 2022, she lost by nearly 8 points. Kemp, the popular conservative governor, is term limited, cannot seek re-election. It says Georgia has followed the national trend in the past few presidential elections, all with Donald Trump at the top of the ticket, while Trump was triumphant in 2016. In 2024, former President Joe Biden won Georgia in 2020. So where is the news?
Come out. So did she fare better the first time she ran or the second time?
The first time she ran, which I always find surprising, because the idea what the people like Stacey Abrams have been saying for years was because of the demographic shifts happening in Georgia, that now was the perfect time for money to be invested by these outside Democratic money machines to finance gubernatorial and or statewide offices.
Mm-hmm.
So that, excuse me, that's been their thinking, is that Georgia's purple, whatever. And again, they have had some success. It doesn't mean nothing for us in terms of policy, because these folks, people who out of office, like a Warnock, claim to have some knowledge thereof of the struggle in Palestine and was supportive of Palestinians. Once in office, says little, does nothing. Around Cop City, said little, does nothing. Off office the same way. But in terms of their agenda, they have done that. And I still think that if instead of Herschel Walker, they had some average white man who ran against Warnock, they would have won that seat. But Trump pushed Herschel Walker on the Republicans, and they accepted that. But Herschel was such a bad candidate that obviously he not only didn't pull Black folks away from Warnock, but the white folks in their racism was like, he's even too bad for us. And we can accept overtly dumb white men, but overtly incoherent Black men, it's like, that's just a bar too far, right? They can't do that. But she did much better the first time around. She lost by no more than 2 or 3 points, as the story says. But the second time around, for whatever reason, she lost by 8 points. And a lot of folks who I know, people in this world who worked on her campaign, they actually blamed her for attempting to, instead of bringing out the constituency she brought out the first time, Black folks, working class folks, people who were not necessarily regular voters, she switched, getting overconfident, thinking that she somehow could pull white working class over. So she had a lot of pro-cop commercials that she did.
That's right.
She did the whole middle class thing. And again, it's like, white folks don't want a carbon copy of white nationalism or white supremacy when they have right there on the ticket, like the real thing. Like, why would they lose? Why would they not want that compared to you? What are you going to do to peel off that constituency in the way in which you think you are? So she lost by more points. Yeah.
And she should have known better. I mean, that is sort of like the Democratic way of losing elections, right? They try to claw back the middle, you know what I mean? Or try to get conservative voters to flip back in their direction. And it's like, you should have keep extending left. You know what I'm saying? You should keep pulling people in from the left, or those that are marginalized and those that are not participating, instead of trying to suck up to whiteness and to respectability and to all this shit. And you lost worse. You
Mhm.
lost worse when you did that.
Yeah, there were a lot of people here in Georgia area, who again do a lot of work in this area of politics, who even have, their personal politics may be more left, but they were a lot of people who were not happy with what she did her second run, and themselves felt betrayed, I guess, in terms of what they felt they put into supporting her the first time around. But she thought she had some way of moving, like you said, that white middle class or white professional class or white moderates over to her side, and she wound up losing worse than she did the first time. And then she went off to course to get a job at, I think, Howard. She started to work at Howard the last few years. Again, never got a job at the Biden administration, which again I thought,
Wild.
makes no sense. It's like makes no sense. I do believe, like what you said, I was like the old time racist. I believe Biden looked at a picture of her and was like, no, she wasn't clean enough, not light enough, not skinny enough. I really
You're
do.
not straight enough.
Yeah, I really do think her African features, her straight up being a woman of African descent, played a huge role on the inside when they were by themselves, and white men were by themselves. It's like, no, but look at Kamala. She's so pretty. She's so presentable. She so dresses like this. I really do believe that's what, again, I'm not speaking about her policies at all. She's trash policy wise, but I do think that aesthetic alone was something that made her, for them, unsuitable for what they wanted to present.
Which is wild in 2025 that Black women still have to deal with colorism in that way, still have to deal with, being perceived, about fatness and fat phobia and those things. Like, it's still wild that we are still dealing with those things very actively. And Stacey Abrams, again, for all the legitimate criticisms about her politics, she's accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Like, her flipping or working very hard to flip Georgia from red to blue, like that was no little thing. To get two Democratic senators, as worthless as they are, but still got two Democratic senators coming out of Georgia in the same cycle. That's no little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And her bona fides are much more qualifying, I think, than Kamala Harris's numerous titles, right? Like, she was a senator, she was an attorney general, she was this. I'm like, well, what the fuck did she do? You can at least point to some shit that Stacey Abrams did, you know what I mean? So it's unfortunate that in this day and time, still colorism and fat phobia will overshadow a Black woman's resume.
No, I completely agree with you. Like, it's almost like we have to keep saying this. Is like, despite her bad politics,
because we're not fans, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, I can look at Deion Sanders and acknowledge the nigga can ball, but I don't like the nigga. You know what I'm saying?
In her area of work, she is accomplished, right? In her area of moving people to the Democratic Party and having strategies, plans, raising money, creating institutions. She's big shit in that area. You know what I mean? She has done those kind of things that has changed the map of where she targeted. She was like, Georgia's where I'm from. I see this happening. These pieces need to come together. I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. Whatever. Of course, not alone, but she was a major brain trust in making that happening. Kamala has none of that. You're right. Like, just nothing.
Titles.
Talking points and titles. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what she has. But the career, like, you know what? She can't. Stacey Abrams can speak to all that shit that she's done, even if it becomes reversed. It's like, but there was a time period where ABC happened, and that was your major driver. Democrats said, "Fuck, we don't want that. We don't want nobody like that. We don't want nobody who actually won for us on our team, despite the, you know what I mean? Again, the sheer work that went into it, not the politics, because the politics are the same, which makes it even more, like, what other possible reason could there be Her politics are their politics.
Right.
She's proven herself to be able to succeed in their world and to win votes for them and to get people to come over to her side.
Mm-hmm.
All of that she's done, but they still didn't want to give her the job. Could it be phenotype?
Something? Well, but there's that. But because, in part, because of her aesthetic, I think Stacey Abrams presents as radical to people that don't know better, right? Like, so conservatives look at Stacey Abrams as radical. I'm bad, and I'm telling you, the way that Democrats cower in just in the face of Republican criticism, right? The Republicans don't even have to do anything; they just have to say or paint or slander people, and people that like Stacey Abrams should have been part of the Biden administration. Why wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Because the conservatives probably thought she was too fucking radical. Well, when Trump gets into office, he don't give a fuck what you niggas think. Trump don't give a shit. Trump go put in Klansman A through Z, okay, and dare y'all to say something about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
even there, the sexism comes out, right? Because you can see in the Trump administration, again, unless you're a billionaire white woman, the only other white women who get jobs got to be blonde haired, I assume blue eye, blonde haired, whatever. Obviously conservative, but he's also like for his whatever his thing is, he's got these aesthetics, his old school patriarchy view of like what women should look like, so that he can stare at them as they tell him. And again, these people, I guess one of them is a lawyer, one of them the ones I'm thinking about, the attorney general, the other one is his chief communications person. Yeah, I'm not. They may have to be somewhat smarter. They're definitely smarter than Trump. He's not there to hear anything that they have to say. He wants them to sit there with their blonde hair, and they say the alphabet, and he's like, yeah, I picked them. They work for me. You know what I mean? Like that's who that dude is, and you know that going into it. Whatever, they're getting their career offs and the rest of it, but that's what it's like. It's like this whole thing about what they look like as these white women with blonde hair, maybe beach blonde hair, but they're white women with blonde hair presenting, and that's what matters for him.
Hey, it's like a plate of food. You got to have your different colors in there to make it look good, even though it might not be appetizing, or it might be.
To his credit, this time around, like, he didn't even try to tokenize anything, right? He does got a couple women in there. Where's the Ben Carson?
Not one Ben Carson. Not one. I noticed that. I was like, he's like, I'm all in. He's like, no more. He's like, no more of this first term bullshit. I'm coming in now, guns blazing, and I want to show you how much of a white nationalist I am.
You see why people respect him.
No, I agree. It's like as a person who's doing, or him and those people, they know what they believe, even if I think it's lethal to us, and they are our permanent enemies. But it's people who are not scared to lead and suffer the consequences thereof, based on the politics that they like. Obviously, they're going to do some backtracking based on poll numbers and the rest of it, but they went in guns blazing.
Because how many people would think, like, man, fuck all this politics stuff, man. Let's just get shit done and have that mentality.
No. It's the politics of leading. It's let's get things done through the lens of their politics. So that's what I'm saying. They're telling you they believe in something, and then they're acting it out. They're not like the Democrats who are telling you they believe in something and don't do shit to make it happen. They're telling you they believe in we should have health care and jobs, but when they get in there, they work for the corporate classes, right? And that's why people get confused. The Republicans are telling you who they are, and they're now doing exactly that. Well, not exactly, but doing mostly what they're telling you that they are. That's the difference. Is that I think and that's again to be, in a weird way, admired, even if it makes your life more difficult. You're like, well, goddamn, that motherfucker said he was going to shoot me in the leg, and he shot me in the fucking leg. He walked in the door, he took out his gun, and he did exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, because I'm looking at him like, he's like, fuck the politics. I'm going to change this into the Gulf of America. I'm bringing back Columbus Day. And fuck all that. Fuck all the votes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
I bet you, oh my God, I bet you he decommissions Juneteenth.
Oh, I'm sure that's.
Did he do that, right? Or was that done by Congress?
That's an excellent question, because it is a federal holiday. So maybe he'll change it to something else. I bet you he'll change it to like Confederate fucking
watermelons and fried chicken day.
I bet you say every fucking federal worker better be at work that day. It's gonna be that
Right?
day. You know what I mean? I bet you
Yeah.
he's like there's no day off today.
How much longer are we gonna do this Martin Luther King stuff?
Oh, he's
Oh,
already
but he
taking
likes
exhibit.
King.
Oh, he does.
I mean, when he can use it, but he's already taken when he's taking the exhibits out of the Smithsonian, out of the Black Museum. That's the other thing. I can't wait. He's going to cover that statue.
Oh, of King. I don't
King?
think so.
Oh, come
Because
on.
you know how they love the whites, all of them, conservative and liberals, love to cherry pick Martin Luther King, so they can continue to distort his legacy, you know, unimpeded, right? Like they'll just, I have a dream it, you know, forever, and there we go. They'll leave him up there. But no, the Black People's Museum, apparently some of the artifacts are being sent back. Some of the ones that were on loan from certain donors, I suppose, they're being returned back to the donors. I wonder what's going to be in the museum.
That's crazy. All right. Well, I gotta get out of here. It's 101. I gotta go work out before this rain come down. And
I'm sorry. What? We gotta abruptly end our stellar show so you can go get your little workout on?
well, it's
Cabo on, nigga.
It's tidden, isn't it? You know, it's the time we end the show. No, y'all don't ever look at the clock. Y'all come late and then want to be going after the clock. But guess what?
Real quick, who won the Canadian election? Anybody know?
Fuck the Canadian election.
You like they matter? Do they matter?
Kind of bullshit. You about to make me listen to y'all talk about Canadian elections? Come on.
Listen, you better be nice to Canada. Canada might have to resurrect itself as that underground railroad destination, yo. Niggas is making tracks for Canada, dog. You better be nice to Canada out here.
Shit. All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Yeah, and that's really it. I mean, shit. Y'all heard everything else we had to say. So make sure y'all tune back in tomorrow morning and hit that like button for you go out of here. Goddamn, I heard there's only like 90 likes and over 400 people watching. That's terrible. It's crazy, y'all. Stop playing. All right, we out of here till tomorrow. Remix Morning Show. Peace.
Peace, y'all.